Hey guys, and welcome back to the Disgustingly Easy podcast for The Long Game. I'm your host and founder of The Long Game, Bec Cameron, and this is another 5-minute hot take episode where I deliver the lesson in 5 minutes or less. Today's episode is not gentle, it is compassionate, but it is not soft because I want to talk about something that I see everywhere, and it's part of the neurodivergent autistic pattern recognition, seeing things 10 levels deep. And something that I really want you to understand, I see this in my clients, in my DMs, I see this in progressive spaces, in feminist spaces, and in liberal circles. And if I'm honest, something I've had to unlearn myself again and again is this idea of perfectionism. So not the Pinterest version, not the I just like things tidy version, but the perfectionism that quietly sabotages your life. The kind that makes you feel stuck and frustrated, chronically behind, constantly self-monitoring, and somehow convinced that you are the problem. And here's the thing I want to state very clearly up front. This version of perfectionism, to me, in my humble opinion, is not discipline. It is not high standards. It is not moral integrity. This is internalized misogyny. And if that makes you bristle a little bit, good, because I'm going to break this down, so stay with me. Let's talk about what I mean by perfectionism. So I'm not talking about caring about the outcome or doing things well. I'm not talking about wanting to do your work, your parenting, your politics, or doing things so that your values align. I'm talking about the kind of perfectionism that stops you from even starting, makes you over-prepare instead of act, has you constantly checking how you'll be perceived, convinces you that if you make one mistake, it will define you forever. The kind of perfectionism that keeps you stuck in the almost ready phase, that makes you feel like you have to earn your rest, that leaves you exhausted, but also somehow still perpetually behind. When we're talking, it can sound a bit like, I just need to know a little bit more before I start, or I just don't want to say it wrong, or I shouldn't need that help. I should be better at this by now. I can't show up until I know I can do it properly. And on the surface, it sounds thoughtful, responsible even, but when we're zooming out and looking at the way that it impacts not just women at the individual level, but women collectively, what we're actually doing is keeping you silent, keeping you small, keeping you frozen, policing yourself before anyone else has to. And this is not empowerment. This is fear. Women were never allowed to be sloppy learners. Our safety, our belonging, our worth has always been conditional. We got to get it right. We've got to be agreeable. We've got to be palatable, morally correct, desirable, but not too much, smart, but not threatening, strong, but not intimidating. We need to have opinions, but we need to package them very consciously. We need to advocate, but don't upset anyone. Mistakes are not neutral for us. Men get to be in their process. They get to fall upwards. They get to have complexity. They have redemption arcs. Women get labels. Too loud, too much, wrong tone, wrong timing, wrong approach. We are wrong in our politics. We are wrong in our body. We are wrong in our mothering. We are wrong in our feminism. And so we learn early, perfection is protection. Because if I do it perfectly, no one can criticize me. And if I think it through thoroughly, no one can attack me. And if I anticipate every angle, I can stay safe. It's not a character flaw. It's an adaptation. And whilst this adaptation might make you feel safe individually, it continues to undermine our collective safety at a cultural and political level. Because internalized misogyny is sneaky. We are born into a landscape that teaches us to self-monitor. No one has to stand over you anymore. You do it yourself. You replay conversations, rewrite captions, you hold your drafts and your big ideas hostage. You overthink decisions that don't need any more thinking, and you wait until you feel ready, but that time somehow never arrives. Your inner voice becomes less like a coach and more like a court tribunal. Are you sure? What if you worded it differently? Someone's going to misunderstand you. Should I even be saying that? Who do you think you are? And then we call that self-awareness or growth or being accountable. But accountability shouldn't immobilize you. And awareness shouldn't suffocate you. If the result is paralysis, what you're practicing isn't integrity. It's internalized control. And then comes the part that we don't like to talk about because we just like to keep it on the inside. We export these narratives, especially in progressive, liberal, feminist spaces. Suddenly, everyone has to get it right. Perfect language, perfect framing, perfect politics, perfect response to a constantly evolving expectation. One wrong phrase and you're unsafe. One clumsy attempt and you're cancelled. One imperfect learning moment and you're branded forever. That's not curiosity, and there's no room there for context. There's no allowance for growth, no spaciousness for learning in public. And listen carefully, this isn't liberation. This is patriarchy rebranded as moral superiority. Misogyny doesn't only show up as overt domination, sometimes it shows up as the impossible standard, as relentless moral performance, as zero tolerance for being human or being woman. And once again, who bears the brunt? Women, marginalized people, neurodivergent communities, anyone who communicates differently, anyone who can't constantly self-edit in real time, anyone speaking from a place of pain, trauma, dysregulation as a result of living a marginalized life. Perfectionism doesn't make us safer. It makes us hard. It kills momentum. It kills creativity. It kills solidarity, and it kills leadership, because no one can move when everyone is terrified of misstepping. Nothing transformative has ever come from perfection. All change comes from friction, experimentation, repair. We get the data and we move on based on the data. When we punish imperfection, we don't build better systems. We do build quieter women. We build women who stop speaking out, stop trying, stop leading, stop sharing their work, stop trusting themselves. This isn't a feminist ideal. This isn't justice. This is patriarchy. So here's what I want to offer you instead. Stop expecting perfection from yourself. Not because standards don't matter, but because perfectionism is not a standard, it's a cage. You're allowed to learn in public places. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to be mid-process. You're allowed to be wrong and repair. You're allowed to contribute before you are flawless, before you are perfect, and stop demanding perfection from others. If someone is willing to learn, they are not the enemy. Curiosity over cancellation. Conversation over condemnation, repair over punishment. Grace is not complacency. Grace is where growth actually has the space to happen. So here's the line I want you to take with you. If something demands perfection in order for you to belong, to speak, to act, to contribute, it's patriarchy wearing new language. We don't dismantle oppressive systems by replicating their control mechanisms inside of ourselves, or by turning them on each other. Liberation is messy, growth is nonlinear, justice requires humanity. So loosen your grip, let yourself be in the process, and let other women be in the process with you. This is how movements actually move. With all that in mind, stay true to yourself, keep trying, keep pushing forward, and remember, when nothing is certain, anything is possible. You've got this, and I've got you.